Therefore, there must be an inquiry. And this is important and mandated by the Human Rights Council's resolution, particularly operational paragraph 10, that you must at least conduct an inquiry to see and punish those who had taken the decision to traumatize a community and unnecessarily create this problem in this country. Honorable Presiding Member, while discussing the votes of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we are all tempted to speak about the Geneva resolution and the debacle that took place a few months ago. Before you come to that, I feel that we have to look at how to strategize to face this resolution, as well as to have a proper retrospection as to what went wrong in our effort to counter this resolution and have it defeated. So, before coming to that subject, may I briefly deal with a few other issues concerning the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, we are embroiled in a issue concerning human trafficking in our through auspices of our foreign missions abroad, particularly some of the missions in the Middle East. Now, this new situation has arisen because the Foreign Ministry has virtually, the Foreign Ministry diplomats have virtually outsourced the consular division to the Foreign Employment Bureau officials. Now, this we observe, according to the Vienna Convention regarding consular services, that is one of the primary duties of any Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So that matter needs to be looked at very carefully. I know during the period when Honorable Harsha De Silva was State Minister, there was a senior officer called Ganega Marachi, who spent almost 3 years in preparing the e-consular service platform. Very dedicated officer who worked on it. Actually, he came to that position almost when he was 56 years old. Then he worked on this for almost 3 years. And finally, what happened to him was that he was posted to Stockholm when he was 59 years old. And as soon as there was a small change in the government, within 1 year, since he has completed 6 years, he was asked to come back. Now, such dedicated officers who worked on some of the important projects have been totally disregarded, or their services were totally disregarded, and they were totally frustrated for what has happened to them. And this is happening all the time. Now, similarly, this happened to another officer. Now, she is now in the BIMSTEC Secretariat as the Director General there. And this lady, Mahisini Kolonne, she was a good officer, a very well-trained officer. Well, now, same people who are in the same batch, now who are getting the second ambassadorial post. But then she has finally chosen to go there because she knows she's not going to be placed anywhere, because there is this seeping discrimination within the Foreign Ministry. This must come to an end. Good officers must be respected for their ability. Because there are these ideological conflicts when it comes to their political masters. And these are people who had done good service to us even in places like Geneva. That is why we have got into this mess, by ignoring good officers and trying to create your own cronies within the ministry. Don't do this. Senior officers are getting highly frustrated because of this. This should come to an end. I hope we have a very good senior officer now in the Foreign Ministry as a secretary. Aruni Devaraja, her mother was a senior professor in our university system. Now, I'm sure some change would be brought about in the conduct of Foreign Ministry's affairs in the future. Of course, for this, the ministers must give assistance to people who run the ministry. Now, having said that, let me deal with this issue of our own foreign policy trajectory now. Now, we must try and reorient our foreign policy, and particularly the importance of Sri Lanka in the emerging Indian Ocean, Indo-Pacific strategic landscape. We must have a new approach. We must know how best to navigate, how best to advance cooperation and facing challenges together for shared prosperity with others. Integration with regional and global trade and economic cooperation arrangements, we must look at what entities to participate in, how best to avoid overlaps, and how best to develop constituencies abroad that support trade, investment, and economic advancement. We have to create our own lobbies, not these fake lobbyists who take taxpayers' money on the pretext of trying to promote Sri Lanka among the senators and congressmen in USA. We know one case, finally, he was a fraudster. We paid our taxpayers' money to make him a lobbyist. And this is what the foreign ministry have been doing in the past. So we have to move away from this culture. Then promotion of multilateralism as a means to resolve common challenges. And this is the way to go about identifying areas for collaboration, consensus building, regaining leadership. Climate change falls under this particular category. So His Excellency the President has spoken about creating a climate change university in this country. These are good concepts, but before that, we must try and reorient our foreign policy to take advantage of the current climate in the international arena. Then, promotion of multilateralism as a means to resolve common challenges. Identifying areas for collaboration, consensus building, regaining leadership. Climate change falls under this particular category. I have spoken about it earlier. The sustained engagement with overseas Sri Lankan communities. Securing talent and expertise for national advancement while recognizing their economic and science and technology potential and contribution. Now about our own Sri Lankans living abroad, we must, what are the programs to engage with them? We simply, since the President just simply makes an appeal to come and assist the country, that is not enough. Look at India. Non-resident Indians program, overseas Indians category. So we create some special programs to attract the assistance from our own Sri Lankans living abroad. Then the important area of advancing reconciliation and peace building. Without this, demand for criminal accountability will become even more pronounced. So it's time for us to look at reconciliation in this country. We must welcome His Excellency the President's resolve to try and somehow bring an end to the ethnic problem in the country by speaking to all the Tamil and other minority parties to have a constitutional solution to this problem. He says it's a very ambitious timeline he has given before the 75th independence anniversary. He says he will try and bring in constitutional reforms to solve the national ethnic problem. And that's a very tall order, but still we wish him well, if he means well. Now, since the Honourable Minister too is here, I would like to refer to the operational paragraph 10 of the Geneva Resolution. Honourable Minister, now in the religious discrimination issue, now this is an issue now, I know you yourself, while being in your previous incarnation as the Minister of Justice, how you were sought to be undermined by appointing a famous Buddhist priest who was known for hate speech as the chairman of a presidential commission for one country, one law. The minister himself felt undermined. I thought he was so frustrated, he went and handed over resignation as well. But then this was the way in which their own ministers were treated. Now, regarding this operational paragraph 10, now I would like to refer to a speech made by the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration recently at the Sri Jayawardhanapura University convocation. A very good speech, where it talks about the need to hold those people who took the decision to cremate COVID-19 dead corpses without any scientific reason, going against the World Health Organization's guidelines. It was a deliberate attempt to discriminate a minority community. They were engaging in racial profiling of the Muslims during the COVID-19 pandemic rather. And we must thank some of the epidemiologists who stood up for this issue among the Muslims. They very bravely challenged the government. But I must say I regret that important professional bodies like the College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists were silent about the issue during that time, because there was so much of public impression created as if this is the best scientific way to go about to combat this pandemic, whereas this is all done for a discriminatory purpose. Therefore, there must be an inquiry, and this is important and mandated by the Human Rights Council's resolution, particularly operational paragraph 10, that you must at least conduct an inquiry to see and punish those who had taken the decision to traumatize a community and unnecessarily create this problem in this country. So, having said that, I must also deal with some other issues. Now, we have an important category called the economic crimes category. I know sometimes the Honorable Minister also, for the first time, a minister went the second time to Geneva, hoping upon hope that we will succeed in trying to improve on our performance from last time. What happened ultimately was we got four votes less than what we got last time. It was a humiliating defeat for us. But however, it is important, of course, we must stop harping on these issues like sovereignty, national security, and non-interference in internal affairs of a country. These are very good to talk about. Then actually our foreign policy must be based on these principles.
Honourable Member, your time is over.
Beg your pardon?
Your time is over.
Yeah, so I would like to just refer to this issue, particularly now on the issue of, now if we are going to look at these economic crimes, because it has been linked to human rights and for very good reasons, it is there, so we must show that we must be proactive and try and display to the international community that we mean business. And how are we going to bring the stolen assets recovery law? I am told that President's Counsel Sarath Jayamana and His Lordship Yasantha Kodagoda has prepared a concept paper regarding this. A non-conviction based asset recovery suggestion has been made through a new piece of legislation that is to be introduced, if at all the government is willing to do so. So it is important for us to try and be proactive and show the international community that we mean business, that we are prepared to try and comply with these requirements, so that this is what has finally landed us in these problems. So without resorting to megaphone diplomacy to escape from the strictures that have been placed on us, let us come clean about our conduct and the treatment that we afford to our own citizens in this country in maintaining human rights and humanitarian law. Thank you.